Welcome to Research with AI. Here is the twist most people miss. The same AI that finds your sources is also the one most likely to invent them.
Welcome back to Cambium Academy. This is Course 3, Research with AI, Version 2, the complete 2026 toolkit. Not one chatbot used like a better search engine, but the whole instrument rack, agents that read the literature while you sleep, assistants that turn plain English into working analysis, machine eyes for your figures and field notes, a library that talks back, and the writing and disclosure rules that keep all of it honest. 10 instruments, 10 modules, 1 certificate. This course is built for people who work with evidence, researchers, grad students, analysts, and anyone whose work rests on what is true. You need no code, though the analysis module goes deeper if you bring R or Python. A browser, about 3 hours, and $0. And one realization to start, most researchers use one AI tool for everything. In 2026, that is like running a lab with only a hammer. Here is the deal. By the end, you can send research agents to the literature and audit what they bring back. Design studies with a tireless methods consultant before data exists. Turn plain English into analysis you can defend. Give your papers machine eyes and ears. Write, translate, and pre-review with the actual policies of Science, Nature, Elsevier, and NIH straight. And you will leave with your personal stack, one page, your instrument for every job. The part is the Academy standard. Read the lecture, clear the 24 flashcards, win the 5 AI lab games, then 20 questions, 14 to pass, certificate on the spot. One tip before you start, keep your own current project in mind the whole way. Every module ends with a try aimed at your work, not a toy. Module 1. Before any tools, the shape of the whole thing. Meet Cosmos, an autonomous AI scientist. In a single run, it processes about 1,500 papers and writes 42,000 lines of analysis code. Its own makers estimate 80% of its findings hold up under expert review. Read that both ways. 6 months of work in a day. And one finding in 5, wrong. That is a bargain every AI instrument now offers you, and both halves are the point. The rack has 7 instrument classes. Discover, agents that search, read, and synthesize literature. Design, a methods consultant before data exists. Analyze, plain English to working code. See and hear, machine eyes for figures and notebooks, a talking library. Write, drafts, translation, review. Reproduce and disclose, documentation, real references, the paper trail. One chatbot is not a research strategy, knowing which instrument each job wants is. And the sentence that guns everything, AI supplies speed. You supply trust. Speed is now nearly free. Trust never was and never will be. Every module from here hands you one instrument, one measured fact about where it fails, and the one check that makes it safe. The rack changes monthly. The rule does not. Try this now. List last week's research tasks and tag each with its instrument class. Find the two you still do fully by hand. Those two are where this course pays for itself first. Keep the list, Module 10 turns it into your personal stack, and that page is your capstone. A thread, before we go further. Everything from here follows one real question, so you see a pipeline and not 10 disconnected demos. The question, do 30-meter riparian buffers protect cold water fish in harvested catchments, and is our current 15-meter rule defensible? Real money, a real river, a real decision. Call it River Bend. Bring your own question alongside it if you like, because the sequence is identical whether your field is ecology, medicine, education, or economics. Module 2. The foundation everything else uses, so it comes first, not last. The recipe has 4 parts. Context, what the machine cannot guess, your field, your data, your constraints, what good looks like. Deliverable, a job, not a topic. Format, the exact shape, length, structure, style. And the researcher's upgrade, demanded uncertainty. Flag what you are not sure of and what I must verify. That 4th line converts a confident narrator into an honest assistant, and it costs you nothing. The standing sentence deserves its own slide. Flag what you are unsure of, state the assumptions you just made, and tell me what to verify before relying on this. Why does it work? Models are tuned to be helpful and fluent. An empty answer feels like failure to them, so they fill gaps. This sentence gives permission to show the seams. Paste it into every factual request for the rest of your career. 4 patterns that earn their keep. Act as reviewer 2. Attack this draft, in private, before humans do. 1 carryover from course 2, because the evidence still holds, persona's shape tone, not truth. Telling the model it is a world-class statistician changes the costume, and measured accuracy, slightly for the worse. For facts and statistics, plain ask, full context, demanded uncertainty. Save the roles for voice. Try it now. Find this week's most disappointing AI answer. Rerun it with the full recipe. The difference between the 2 answers is the skill, and it takes about 2 minutes to apply. River Bend, Part 2. Prompting the question into shape. The weak ask is, tell me about riparian buffers. That is a topic, not a job, and it returns an encyclopedia paragraph. The brief task names the context, the deliverable, and the standard of evidence. I manage 8 harvested catchments in the interior Northwest. Summarize the evidence on buffer width and summer stream temperature for cold water salmonids. Distinguish causal studies from correlational ones. Flag what you are unsure of, and tell me what I must verify. Same seconds to type. A different machine answers. Module 3. Discovery, as a pipeline, not a search box. 4 gears, in order of effort. Gear 1, search grounded Q&A, a quick cited answer with receipts you can click. Gear 2, citation maps, the field's neighborhood around 1 sheet paper. Gear 3, deep research agents, a synthesized, cited report while you do something better with your time. Gear 4, standing alerts, the review that keeps updating itself. Most researchers only ever use Gear 1 and use it like Google. Gear 2, the maps. Connected papers, 1 sheet paper in, a visual similarity graph out, including work that never cites each other. Research Rabbit, chain recommendations interactively and set alerts as collections grow. Lit Maps, a living map over 260 million papers. The payoff is the adjacent method community you did not know existed. Gear 3, the agents, measured. OpenAI Deep Research, 50 to 200 sources in 10 to 30 minutes. Gemini, 30 to 150. Claude, fewer sources, deeper synthesis. Perplexity. Free tier exists. Every major AI ships one now. You write the question, it plans, searches, reads, cross-references, and writes a cited report. But for literature specifically, the specialists win. Illicit and undermined search closed, verified databases of published research, so their citations resolved by construction, and they speak researcher, screening columns, effect extraction, exportable tables. Rule of thumb, literature review means academic agent first, generalist second. Everything else, the reverse. The rule that makes Gear 3 safe, every agent report is a first draft with leads, assembled by a fast assistant who occasionally pads the bibliography. The polished signals audited. Nothing was audited. Find the 2 or 3 sources the conclusion rests on and run the 3-click check on those. Then set the alert so the answer stays current.
In 2026, AI can run a 20-source research report while you grab coffee. Whether you can trust, it comes down to one habit.
Try it now, the 2-agent shootout. One question from your actual research, through one generalist agent and through illicit. Count the sources that survive a click, exists, right when you actually says it. The difference is a lesson. Riverbend, Part 3, Sending the Agents Out. Gear 1, a grounded question, returns the shape of the field and 3 names to chase. Gear 2, a citation map around one seat paper, reveals an entire paired catchment literature you had never seen. Gear 3, the academic agent, returns 40 screen studies with an evidence table, while the generalist adds to state policy reports the academic corpus missed. Gear 4 sets a standing alert, so new studies find you while you get on with the season. 20 minutes of your attention, against 2 weeks the old way. And none of it is trustworthy yet. That comes next. Module 4. The module that made version 1 of this course condensed to its spine because the numbers got worse, not better. 4 numbers. 1 in 277 papers now carries a fabricated reference, up roughly 6-fold in 3 years, from a Lancet analysis of 2 million papers. AI search tools were wrong on more than 60% of citation queries in Columbia Journalism Review's test, in a perfectly confident tone. Frontier models still fabricate 18 to 28% of citations on literature tasks. And 3 clicks is all it takes to catch essentially every fake. Why the fakes pass a glance? Models learned what a citation looks like. Plausible authors, a real-sounding journal, a well-formed DAW, sensible pages. When unsure, the model completes the pattern, no lookup happens. Nobody programmed deception. Plausible text is the product, and that is exactly the problem. The eyeball test is worthless by construction.
Here is the one that catches everyone. AI can cite a study that does not exist with a perfect-looking link. Always open it.
The verification kit, read across, not down. Leave the page and let independent sources judge it. Sift, stop. Investigate the source. Find better coverage. Trace to the original.
Fact-checking has flipped. You do not read down the page anymore. You read across the web. It is called lateral reading, and it is faster.
And the one rule this course carves in stone, a citation you never opened is a citation you cannot trust. Click 1, does it exist? Click 2, is it what it claims? Right authors, right venue, right year? Click 3, does it actually say what the AI said it says? 30 seconds per citation that matters. Try it now. The lab's first 3 games, citation hunt, lateral race, and receipts or vibes, train exactly this module. Then ask any chatbot for 3 sources on a niche topic you know well, and open all 3. Many researchers meet their first fabricated citation within 5 minutes. It changes how you read forever. Riverbend, Part 4. The audit that saved the report. The agent's conclusion rested on exactly 2 sources, a width and temperature experiment, and a 5-year fish persistence study. Everything else was context. 3 clicks each. The first resolved and matched. The second was a real paper, by real authors, but the report's claim overstated what the abstract actually said. 1 sentence rewritten, 1 citation kept honest. That single audit is the difference between a defensible recommendation and a retraction. And this is exactly what the practical, the optional honors exam on the course page makes you do for real, against the live registry. Module 5. The cheapest AI are in your whole project, and the one almost nobody uses. Before any data exists, the machine is a tireless methods consultant. Power analysis and sample size, sanity check before a season of field work is committed to an underpowered design. Test selection with assumptions stated. Confound hunting, list what a hostile reviewer would raise. Pre-registration drafting, while your hypotheses are still honest. Design errors are silent and permanent. No clever analysis rescues a broken design. The consulting rule, show the math or it did not happen. Demand the formula and every assumption behind the number, then ask what changes if each assumption is wrong. Cross-check with a second tool, 2 independent calculations that agree beat 10 confident ones. And when stakes are high, the human statistician still signs. The AI chose the test is not a method section. Try it now. Describe your next study in 6 sentences. Ask for the 3 most likely fatal design flaws and the sample size match shown in full. Then ask what design a hostile reviewer would propose instead. You do not have to agree. You have to have heard it before they say it. Riverbend, Part 5, Designing the Field Season. The consult, paired catchments, 15 meters versus 30, summer temperature and fish counts. What design, what sample size, what confounds? It caught elevation and aspect confounding. It caught pseuduplication if catchments were treated as independent samples, and its power calculation showed 6 pairs was underpowered for the fish endpoint. What it could not do is sign off. The statistician did that after seeing the shown math. 20 minutes now. A wasted season, otherwise. Module 6. Analysis, this is not autocomplete anymore. What changed? Assistants can see. Posit Assistant, inside Positron and RStudio, reads your data frame, your code, and your rendered plot at once, and reasons across R and Python in the same analysis. Agentic assistants navigate whole repositories. Browser analysts run plain English analyses on uploaded data. Even MATLAB ships its own AI chat. The interface became a colleague who can see your screen. So the safety rules become a loop. Describe data, goal, and constraints. Require commented code. The explain it back rule, every line explained before anything runs. The tiny test rule, 10 rows you can check by hand, then scale. And keep the transcript, the conversation is your analysis log. The silent failures, plausible but wrong tests, hallucinated arguments, unit errors, all die at steps 3 and 4. And the lane nobody builds for, qualitative research. Whisper class transcription turns interview hours into text in minutes. Thematic coding. The AI proposes, you adjudicate, and the audit trail of accepted and rejected codes is what makes it a methodology instead of a shortcut. Survey open-ends, clustered and quantified in an afternoon. Try it now. Hand an assistant your messiest real CSV with a plain English description of every column. Ask for cleaning plus one labeled plot, every step commented and explained back. Run the tiny test first. Then the full file. Riverbend, Part 6, the analysis, explained back. Plain English in, loggers with 15-minute readings, 1 row per logger, 12 catchments, buffer width per catchment, model summer maximum temperature by buffer width, accounting for catchment. The assistant's first answer was a simple regression that silently ignored the nesting, treating every logger as independent. Plausible. Publishable looking. Wrong. Explain it back surfaced the assumption, the tiny test made the error visible, and the fix was a mixed model with catchment as a random effect. That is Module 6's failure mode, in the wild. Module 7. Machine eyes for your material, and a voice for your library. What the eyes can do: extract numbers from published charts, including that 1998 figure nobody has data for. First pass reads of micrographs and site maps. Transcription of handwritten field notebooks, including handwriting you can barely read yourself. Tables pulled out of photos. The Eternal Scan Appendix problem, mostly solved. And the measured limit. Vision models still misidentify fine-grained structures in cluttered scientific imagery that trained experts catch. Treat them as Now the years. Source-grounded library assistants, the NotebookLM class, upload your papers and ask questions, answers ground in your corpus and cite back to the page. Audio overviews turn your sources into a podcast-style discussion you can interrupt mid-sentence with your own questions. Maps, decks, and quizzes on demand. The library becomes study materials while you commute. Why grounding matters: containment, not elimination. An open chatbot free associates from everything it ever read, so checking its errors means searching the world. A grounded assistant is inside your uploads, with citations that point at pages you own. Same receipts principle as Module 3, applied to your own bookshelf. Try it tonight, 3 papers in, 1 critical format overview, and interrupt it with the question you would ask the authors. Module 8. Writing, the most used AI research task on Earth, and the most policed. Riverbend, Part 7, the figures and the field notebook. A 1998 reports temperature figure, with no data behind it anywhere, digitized in minutes and spot-checked against 3 visible grid lines. 3 field seasons of handwriting transcribed, with 2 site codes misread and caught on review, because machine eyes are fast, not final. And all 40 screened papers uploaded to a source-grounded assistant, so critic format audio overview plays on the drive between sites. None of this is the analysis. All of it is as you get back. The legitimate power tools. Revision and clarity passes, your ideas, better sentences. Translation and English polishing, the great equalizer for non-native speakers, and at many venues it now counts as exempt copy editing, but check yours. The unglamorous fleet, abstracts, cover letters, plain language summaries, responds to reviewer scaffolds. And grand support, aims critic, reviewer simulated, boilerplate drafted, while the science stays yours. The policy table, July 2026, because the rules now differ for real. Science, disclosure of all AI use, including copy editing, in the acknowledgements. The Nature portfolio, copy editing exempt, AI-generated images banned, substantive use disclosed in methods. Elsevier, a dedicated declaration section. NIH, reviewers barred from feeding applications to AI, and proposals substantially written by AI can be rejected. One-size-fits-all advice is now wrong by construction. Check the venues page at submission, every time. Pre-review yourself. Attack this manuscript as a skeptical reviewer, clarity, methods gaps, statistical red flags, overclaimed conclusions, missing limitations. It is tireless and shameless, which is exactly what you want in private, before submission. And note that the machines are already on the other side. Roughly 21% of reviews at a major AI conference were flagged as substantially AI written. Write for humans. Expect machines to read you first. The red lines. Never upload someone else's unpublished manuscript or grant to an AI tool. What you review is confidential, and NIH bars it explicitly. Never let AI invent citations, data, or quotes. Module 4 showed you how convincingly it will. And never skip the venue's declaration. Disclosure costs a sentence, discovery costs a reputation. Tonight, paste your own abstract, ask for the 3 harshest justified referee comments, fix one before bed. Module 9. The 2 quiet crises, and the assistant that fixes both, if you ask. Riverbend, Part 8, Writing It, and Surviving Review. The pre-review, AI as Review 2, flagged an overclaim in the abstract, a missing limitation about generalizing beyond the interior Northwest, and one unclear methods sentence. A co-author's section, drafted in their second language, was polished without changing a single claim. The journal was an Elsevier title, so a dedicated AI declaration went in, one sentence, before submission. And when the human reviewer raised that same limitation, it was already addressed. That is what pre-review buys. Crisis 1. Analyzes nobody can rerun. Undocumented scripts, unpinned environments, the folder called final_v2_real. Crisis 2. Reference lists nobody checked. Module 4 measured that one. The fix for both costs one sentence each, because the same assistant that wrote your analysis will document it, pin it, script it, and write the readme. Most people never ask. Reproducibility went from a virtue to a prompt. The 4 asks, for code you already have, document every function and non-obvious line. Pin this environment with versions. Turn this interactive session into a readable script. Write the readme a stranger could follow. AI drafts, you correct, and the corrections are exactly where your expertise belongs. Reference integrity, the 2 nevers. Never hand-type a citation, and never trust an AI-typed one. Try both tonight, have AI document one existing script, then correct its 2 wrong guesses. And run your reference list through a DAW check. Almost every list has at least one casualty. Better you find it than review 2. Module 10. The capstone, judgment, written down. Riverbend, Part 9, Making it Readable. The assistant wrote the readme and pinned the environment, and the analyst corrected it to wrong guesses about the data dictionary. Every DAO resolved before submission. Except one, inherited from an old draft, 3 years old, that nobody had ever opened. It was fabricated. Now the analysis is one a stranger can rerun, and the reference list survives scrutiny. The gap where careers get hurt, measured. About 70% of journals now have an explicit AI policy. In one analysis of 75,000 recent papers, about 0.1% disclosed AI use. That gap closes on the disclosure's terms, and proper disclosure usually costs one sentence. Be early. The working code, 5 lines. Verify before you rely, you now own every check. Disclose per the venue's actual rule. Guard sensitive data absolutely, confidential, pre-publication, and human subjects data never touch a cloud chatbot, and local or institution-hosted models exist exactly for that lane. Watch the bias. Training data is not the world. Ask what is missing. And you remain the accountable author. Every instrument assists. None of them signs. One line in that code is hard enough to repeat. If your data could not go in an email to a stranger, it does not go in a consumer chatbot. When in doubt, local model, institutional deployment, or synthetic stand-in data. This is the lane the Academy's local models course will cover hands-on. And the capstone. Build your personal stack, one page. Your discovery agent and map tool. Your methods consult and coding assistant. Your vision tool, library assistant, and writing setup. Your documentation habit and reference pipeline. Your venue's disclosure rule and your data red lines written down. Free tiers marked, so the stack survives a $0 month. The tools on the page will rotate. The shape of it will not. That page is a deliverable this certificate stands behind. Riverbend, the end. What did the pipeline produce? The evidence supported the wider buffer for cold water reaches, and it did not support a blanket rule. That is the honest finding, and it is precisely the nuance the raw agent report had blurred. Weeks of literature were compressed into days. The judgment, unchanged and irreplaceable. And a trail where every claim is traceable, every citation was opened, and every AI use was disclosed. That is this course. Not 10 tools. One pipeline, 10 instruments, and a researcher who stayed accountable at every step. Screenshot the pocket checklist. Before you ask, context, deliverable, format, demanded uncertainty. Before you trust, load-bearing claims verified laterally, citations opened, exists, matches, says it. Before you run, code explained back, tiny test passed, transcript saved. Before you submit, references resolve, environment pinned, venue policy checked, disclosure written. Always, AI supplies speed, you supply trust. To go deeper, the course resources page carries every tool and study from these slides, linked, dated, and re-verified at release. Rerun the two-agent shootout quarterly. It keeps teaching as the tools evolve. And the Academy path continues, prompting essentials for the asking skill in depth, and the local model scores on the roadmap for the sensitive data lane.
Research with AI is not about finding answers faster. It is about staying the smartest thing in the room while the machine sounds sure. Let us begin.
That is the course. You arrived using one chatbot like a better search engine. You leave with an instrument rack, agents you can audit, analysis you can defend, machine eyes you can calibrate, a library that talks, manuscripts that survive review, references that resolve, and a disclosure sentence that protects you. Find well. Verify well. Cite well. Disclose well. Now the flashcards, the 5 games, 20 questions, and your certificate. I am Era, and I am rooting for you.